What's going on, moms and dads? Welcome to another episode of the Fade You podcast. Here we are today recording on Thursday, February 9th, our final Super Bowl preview pod, among other things. We've got a little bit more to catch up on. Thank you, Clara, and a little bit more to talk about. So here's who's here. A roll call real quick. My name is Matthew James, and I do not have Joe. Joe is in beautiful Detroit at the Wings Flames game. Fun fact, the Red Wings used to play in an arena known as the Joe Louis Arena, but it is not that anymore. It is Little Caesars Arena now. And today is National Pizza Day. So there you go. Maybe Joe's going to have himself a pie over there at the Little Caesars place. So no Joe. Chris should be here shortly. We have a very small window to record because Chris is going to St. Mary's Loyola Marymount tonight. That'll be a good time. So I do right now have Bucket Boy and I have Kmart. I guess we can get to this first. Kmart is back on Twitter, but not returned, I think is what you said. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'm present. It's kind of like what you say
to your
students, Matt. You're present, but you're not really here. That's kind of
very mysterious.
Like how I am.
That's the story of your life, though, Kyle, in a nutshell.
So
that's pretty true.
Apologies for the delay in getting this going, but we got a lot going on collectively for sure. So we're here. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about LeBron. Congrats, LeBron. Just fantastic achievement. Crickets. But we got to talk about it. So Kmart has the Caterpillar tunnel. For those watching on YouTube, this looks incredibly fun. Now, it is a baby gift for a 1-year-old, but it looks like a really good time. And before we started recording, Kyle was talking about why he won't go in the tunnel. Do you want to share what we were just discussed or what we just talked about?
I mean, I guess, but it needs to be clean because we took it to Arizona for her first birthday celebration out there. And yeah, there's a couple kids in there just, they're going through teething, so drooling, but just for whatever reason for me, like, I just can't, like, I need to bleach it. I need to burn it. Like I don't do good with it. I don't know why. It's just disgusting to me. Like I can handle like a blown out shit, but I can't handle baby drool.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, don't, after a year of literally wiping asshole and like cleaning up actual shit, don't you get to a point, and Neil, you can weigh in on this too, and throw up. And
you've been thrown up on. You've had breast milk spit up onto you. No doubt, right? 100%. Every dad.
It more gets spilled on me. Like she's a good eater. She doesn't like really spit up much, and I can't even remember the last time she did. Like we'll give her food and she'll like spit it out if it's too big, but like I've never like you see those horror things where someone just gets splattered.
Yeah.
That's never happened. Like it's been like a little spit up here or there, but it's never been like that crazy like and it's just like doused. Like she actually peed on me earlier today.
See, I was gonna say, and I don't know how I got around it. The split between me changing diapers and my wife having changed diapers, right, is probably 85% my wife and 15% over my lifestyle. But I will say, other than my son being born and him peeing on me as I went to cut the umbilical cord, I have not been peed on. I have not had like the flying, you hear the stories like flying shits as you're changing and it gets all over. That never happened. I've been thrown up on though multiple times. Drool, the kids will drool over everything, right? Their mouths are on everything that you ever pick up. I have zero problem with the drool.
Yeah, I don't. It's like
we play in scum.
It's
all the
always
time.
bothered me, whether it's babies or just somebody else. It's just like I don't know. It's probably why my pet peeve is chewing with food in your mouth, like chewing with your mouth open. Just can't do it.
This is a conversation that will surely have to continue on the Two Dads podcast
definitely.
with
We've
Kmart,
got another dad
with
coming
Neil,
in. We'll
with
add this
Joey
tomorrow.
Cheese. Shout out Joey Cheese, another actual dad. And maybe one day Chris Duke. We'll see.
Don't know. I mean, you're a father of a new puppy.
This is true. He's absolutely going to town right now on a Kong that's filled with peanut butter.
Nice.
He is in his own. He's literally right next to me.
That's awesome.
And he's in his own little world. It's great. I mean, he's just obsessed with this thing. And so dad can pod, and it's great.
Yeah.
So all right. Lots to talk about. We did preview the Super Bowl a little bit, a little over a week ago, about a week and a half ago, immediately after the conference championship games, which just went so well for everyone here on this show. Yeah. So that was not fun, but not a lot has changed. We'll get to the Super Bowl here in a couple minutes, but we just want to jump into a couple other things that have happened in sports. What a sports weekend, by the way, with the Waste Management this weekend, the Super Bowl coming up in a couple days. College basketball is really in full swing right now. We're a little over a month away from the Madness. Conference tournaments right around the corner. Really, really exciting time. I did want to start with this. So our dad, Joe, is in Detroit, and he's at the Wings game. So I have the Wings and Flames game on while we record. And I was thinking about this earlier today, and I realized I'm not really watching as much hockey right now. It's not that I'm not into it. It's just I'm not as into it as I have been other years. And I was thinking about Joe in Detroit going to the Red Wings game, and hockey really misses out with the Red Wings not being good. From the late 90s, when I started following hockey, the Red Wings were a dominant force. They won multiple Stanley Cups. They were always good. They were always in the playoffs. And I started thinking about certain leagues really lose a lot when certain teams aren't good. So what I wanted to pose to the dads on the pod is, can you think of a team right now who's down where the league as a result is just worse off for it? Honestly, another good one, and you guys know how I feel about SC, but college football really is worse when SC sucks. Like those few years where they were irrelevant, it just is a huge loss for college football when SC isn't good. And this year, when they were good, it was a huge story all season on people, whether you love them or hate them. It's college football is better for it when USC is good. Even as a hater, I could admit that. Can you guys think of other ones right now where team is down and so the sport is worse off for it?
Lakers.
It's just not the same, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what are they? 13th in the West?
Yeah. Like today's probably the first day in years I've actually been like, oh shit, this is kind of exciting. They finally have done something. Finally makes me want to be like, I got to pay a little more attention. I like Bamba. But I mean,
that's what it's come to for Laker fans.
I never thought they should have traded D'Angelo Russell to begin with. Like they traded him because they wanted to free it up for Lonzo Ball, and they should have drafted Jason Tatum over Ball. So that was the start of me saying, fuck this franchise, is when they started doing all this shit. Thank you, Magic Johnson. So to me, I'm like, oh man, got the player back that I kind of liked. Now if only they could get that other wing, player, be pretty good.
Well, let's not like, if we're gonna go into a quick Laker talk as the Lakers fans, and I am certainly one with Kmart. Like the problem that the Lakers made, and I hope they understand this in retrospect, right? The Lakers are a win now organization all the time. So they go out and they draft all these 19-year-olds. They have Randall, they had Brandon Ingram, right? Ball, D'Angelo Russell, and they never had the time to just Josh Hart. They never just sat back and said, let's wait for this 19-year-old kid to develop, to become an athlete, to get in a league where you are 24, 25, and you can play at a very high level within basketball. But you can't do that at 19 years old. And when you're the Lakers and you are set out and hell-bent on instant gratification every single year and you're not allowed to rebuild, their whole model just didn't work. If they had stuck with it, this team would be like crazy.
Could you imagine Could you imagine though if they didn't
right?
trade for AD and just let him come in the offseason?
Yeah.
They'd still have Brandon Ingram most likely.
You'd have that. You would have had like that whole Pelicans team still.
At least all those picks, so they could have actually traded for Bogey today. Like it's just mistake after
so that
mistake.
was it's mistake after mistake, and I'm sorry. Like this whole NBA nonsense that went down just was. I was already off of basketball. This garbage that happened, this soap opera where it's like, and it was funny, like I was thinking this, and it was funny that he posted it. Trent posted like, real glad I spent $600 last time I was in New York on my Durant jersey. I don't know how you root for anybody. It's incredible to me, and it completely turns me off as a fan that no one sticks around. This was just this trade deadline was a disaster.
Some of your best players from this era are like literally not going to be associated with any team.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like even the LeBrons, I guess we can kind of transition into LeBron stuff. It's still weird to me that he's even a Laker. It just doesn't even fit. Yeah. Like when he's standing up there with the crowd, he's like, "Fuck, man! Like I don't know what to say." Like it does nothing for me, and it must be weird for as Laker fans to see him like achieve this in your uniform because he
hated it.
Most Laker fans I know don't even feel like he's one of their guys. Yeah.
No, like, and I was more heated the other night, but like. Now I've kind of cooled down, but you know, I definitely understand where AD's probably coming from. But like the fact of the matter is, it's like you just had this amazing achievement and you couldn't even beat the fucking Thunder. Like it's not like they lost to a top tier team. You lost to the Thunder, who are basically in the same position you are. Like LeBron's problem is he can't elevate. Like, I know what he did in Cleveland, but that was the East. Like, it was a lot easier back then. But Kobe, especially the 2006-07 season, played with Kwame Brown and Smush Parker. And he should have won the MVP that year, averaging 36 points a game when teams actually play defense. Like, LeBron scoring 30 at 38 is a great storyline, but teams don't score 100 points anymore. Teams are scoring 120 plus. Like it's 30 points a game to me is like what, like whatever. Like no one's guarding anybody. Every game's an all-star game until the final 2 minutes. So it's just to me like that's where the league's been lost. Is just it's just not fun to watch. Like I don't know why they think it's fun to watch teams score. Like I want the Lakers Spurs, scoring in the 80s. Lakers Celtics game 7. They're so dead ass tired from beating the shit out of each other for 6 games. They couldn't even make a fucking layup. That's basketball.
So I have a question for you guys because I was thinking about the exact same thing, right? And how it's sort of muted, right? How the scoring title is muted because the game has evolved, right? You don't see an 88-82 final anymore. It's these ridiculous, and I'm not saying anything bad about your Sacramento Kings there, Maddie, but right, every game is 140-130. It doesn't matter who they play, right? The same thing has happened in football, right? The narrative that Tom Brady set the single season passing record. We all discount that this is the first season, or the first season was 17 games as part of it, right? So we go out and just say, oh, like he just set some record, and all these passing records that are being set and they're going to be broken. But the game is completely changed, right? From these passing respects. So like as much as you want to do, but it's still right? I think football is still enjoyable. You still have that level where you still can play defense. I hope they, don't get to a point where it's just, turns into, arena football where it's 67, 63 every single game. Like there needs to be a level of defense that is accepted and is still exciting. So I hope it doesn't get to that. But I was thinking about that today, how, I do feel it's muted. You can't compare the two. And, to what Kyle said in the difference, and I think it was Stephen A. I don't agree with much of that the guy says, but I think the greatest thing was he said the difference between LeBron versus Kobe or Michael is Kobe and Michael don't lose that game. how do you lose? I don't. How do you lose to the
Yeah, I mean,
Oklahoma
look at
City
Kobe
Thunder in that
playing
spot?
his last game, putting up over 60 so he can go out, not
Yeah.
making the playoffs, but at least win his last game, like going on empty. Like that was one of the gutsiest
course.
performances I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, of course it was going to happen. So we can move on. I have nothing left to say about NBA in general. God,
Yeah,
I
we
love
spent
college basketball though.
Way too much time on the NBA, but yeah, college basketball is great. Some of the
2-minute
endings,
LeBron rant turned into a 10-minute NBA TED talk.
I know, Jesus. Go Kings. Got to end the drought. Got to catch my Mike Brown Coach of the Year, please, for the love of God. Need that. The win total over is going to – they have 31 wins right now. I think my brother and I took over 33.5, so they're going to cash that before the All-Star break. So it's only been 16 years since they were good, so go Kings. All right. Let's talk some football. Let's talk some Super Bowl. I think we should do that. Not a ton has changed in the last week. It's not like the line has been moving like crazy. It's not like the total has been moving like crazy. The narratives are largely the same. I don't think people just kind of assumed Mahomes' ankle would get better over the 2 weeks. It sounds like there's a lot of stuff about the Chiefs are doing a lot in practice. I think, what was the quote I read today about Kadarius Toney in practice? Did anybody see that? It just was the funniest buzz. It was something to the effect of they're doing crazy stuff with Kadarius Toney in practice just to add hype and buzz or whatever. So, I mean, I think it is what it is. The Chiefs are going to be healthy enough. Jalen Hurts is going to be healthy enough. And we probably have what's going to be a pretty evenly matched Super Bowl. And I know Joe is huge on the Chiefs. And then before we started recording, Chris just told us that some of his square guys that he likes to fade, the long-term losers, I think, as we would say, went in on a huge Chiefs bet as well. Have any of your opinions on the game changed in the last week? Or do you guys do you think any differently about the game now than you did right after Championship Sunday?
I just can't wait for the coin toss, man. I just can't wait. Once that happens, I'm just there to watch football. But the coin toss to me, coin toss, and I'm going to be eating pizza, wings, and whatever. But yeah, I mean, Chiefs, Mahomes probably wins MVP, probably goes over 50.5.
I feel that that's become this. I feel that that's kind of become when we sat here on whenever we did our our first reaction, instant reaction that night, and we sort of said that, it sort of made sense, right? I think I said either team catching points to me made sense as the side. I think we credited the stat that in the moment that, and correct me if I'm wrong, of the last 10 seasons, I think the team that gets the line move is 8-2, Matt.
Chris had that, and it was something. It was really strong for the team that had the line move. Yeah,
that had the line move in their favor, right? So that would leave you. That would lead
you
to.
Did it move in their favor as much as the books just didn't set it right at the beginning? Isn't there a difference?
If I'm not mistaken, right, what happened? The look ahead, right, of the potential Super Bowl matchups was KC -1.
Right.
So the fact that KC won, I don't know what drove, and I actually heard. I think it was Benson at Circa had said, or maybe it was Mike Palm, but I believe it was Circa, that they made it -2 because of their preseason futures liability on Kansas City. That they were much more liable if Kansas City was to win the Super Bowl versus from a future standpoint than if Philly was to win. Right.
So they don't mind writing some Philly bets and evening out that.
Exactly. So let's take it to let's take it to KC -2.5 to try and write some Philly bets. But yes, we saw that line move and we talked about it. It just blew right through 0, blew up to 2 in Philadelphia's favor. But I feel almost right that's kind of I don't know that I don't want to say it's become a score narrative, but I think it's almost like to me is like the prevailing narrative that's out there right now. And you guys tell me if you feel differently. That the narrative is I'll take Mahomes as an underdog because that stat is ridiculous too. Like I think that stat is like when Mahomes is an underdog, I think he was 11-4.
I mean, there's that
ATS,
Andy
which
Reid off
makes
a
total
bye.
sense. You have Andy Reid off a bye. You have all these things, but I find it then interesting though that this hasn't trickled itself down like closer to pick 'em. Right, we haven't got this line back down underneath one. I don't even know if it's gone back to like a
I saw that
-1.
2 an hour ago on our book.
It was still at 2. I'm seeing 1 in that. I'm seeing it at Philly -1.5. But you haven't seen it sort of swing back the other way with all of these. It's everything. Would lead to Chiefs, but you haven't seen the line come back. And trickled. Down to even, which I sort of kind of envisioned it potentially happen. It just hasn't happened yet.
And it still could. I mean, we're recording on
right.
Thursday afternoon. John Murray said on their podcasts at the Superbook that the public won't come in and bet this until the weekend. People are going to land into Vegas, wherever they're going to go watch the games tomorrow, Saturday. So the public, and he did say as well that the Super Bowl is one of the few events where the public can really move the number because the volume is so high. So I said all along, I can't believe that the public would be against Mahomes 2 games in a row. So, I could totally be wrong. I'll be the first to admit it, but I would sure expect the line to go a little closer to pick by the time the game kicks off. Maybe late money comes back in on Philly, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's changed for me. I played a small on the over because it just, I don't know, just for fun. Seems like 27-24 is pretty easy, with these two offenses. I mean, Mahomes, he looked, hobbled at times. I mean, first half he looked okay. Second half is when he kind of looked hobbled 2 weeks ago. So just getting that rest, and the receivers are going to be healthy. I'll probably do a Juju Smith prop to score a touchdown. That's probably the only thing I'm going to care. But yeah, I'm trying not to go crazy here because I just don't really care. Shockingly, I'm going to have more on the coin toss than I'm going to have on all 3 of those combined.
Juju first touchdown would be probably
Anytime's
be a really good one, right?
70 though. So to me, if Juju gets a touchdown, it's like hell yeah, because of my homerness.
How about Ronald Jones?
That's just a fun one to bet for, and then I got a bunch of free bets on the Chiefs money line, so it's just it's just gonna be a fun day, honestly.
How about Rojo yards over? What is his yards prop gonna be?
Half a yard? Is he even gonna dress?
Well, they're elevated Clyde, right? So he probably won't.
Yeah.
He probably won't even be active.
Yeah, I doubt it. Remember 2 years ago, that was my prop bet. Anytime Rojo touchdown, he scores and it gets called back from, I don't even remember.
Well, I'm glad you brought up props, Kyle, because I don't have a great feeling on either side, but what I would caution people to do, especially this late, this close to the game, and I know we got to wrap up in a few minutes, but we've probably all learned the hard way that you really shouldn't go nuts on props. I remember when the Niners were in the Super Bowl, I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to do use check over catches. I'm going to do use check over receiving yards. We also
followed Steve Fezzik, who took a massive shit that year on his props in the Super Bowl.
Well, so here's the thing about
so
props.
Much money following that guy.
It is so hard to follow people on props because you're rarely going to get as good a number as them. You're probably getting a worse number almost every single time because props move a lot because the people who win at props are able to bet them right away. And so if you live in California, like we do, it's so hard to win at props. And so especially if you're going to try to do overs, you're really at a big disadvantage. So what I would definitely recommend to people is
prop over, bait yourself and go under.
Yeah, right. If you're really eager to fire a bunch of overs and props, just don't overdo it. Pick 1, 2, 3 you like, and don't fire 14 props. You're just asking to get cleaned out.
And don't do the wide receiver and take all 3 overs of receptions, yards, and longest reception.
Right.
Pick one of the 3 that you think you have the best chance at, and don't take Kelsey over 7.5 receptions, over the 82.5 yards, and over 19.5, longest reception. And
definitely don't
and
put
to catch a
4 units
touchdown,
on
right?
a coin toss. I'm just crazy. I like instant gratification. I mean, you guys joke about it all the time. 1st to 10, I used to like that every now and then, and I don't even remember. 1st to 20 maybe, and I feel like there is something else.
15.
But,
It's 15. Well, and you playing War.
Oh yeah, casino. Oh man, hey, it's Dan's fault. He's the one that got me into that game. And it was just fun because it's like you don't have to think. I laughed because I remembered what he told me, and I can't say it on a live stream.
And Claire is in the room.
Yeah.
All week I've heard about
second.
Some of the biggest handle they have so far is on the coin toss, and people are freaking out. Oh my god, I can't believe people lay minus 110 on a 50-50. But I'll say it is pretty electric. You get it out of the way right off the bat, Kyle. You can speak to it.
Dude,
right away whether it's going to be
the Niners
a
were in
good
the
day or
Super
a
Bowl.
bad
We
day.
hit it. We went nuts.
It was unbelievable. It was exhilarating.
Also because we had a few hundred on it, but we went nuts.
Good times. Back when the Niners used to be able to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, now
it's just not. It's just different. All right, we should get out of here. It's a bummer we didn't have the other guys to do a little bit more of a full preview, but honestly, the line is probably right to be under 3. It's a game that could go either way, so people don't go nuts with this one. Enjoy the game. Bet it all on, what are you on, Kyle? Tails?
I'll tell you on Sunday.
Okay. So
Stay
the new
tuned.
Twitter, the new one for people to get your official coin toss pick is at _Kmart 9, correct?
Correct, yeah. I had to get rid of the angles because I'm just not writing my opinion on anything because I don't give a fuck about yours, and I know damn well you don't give a shit about mine. So I knew I had to get rid of the whole angles thing. I quit that, 2 years ago.
Maybe we'll do a contest or a competition to help rebrand Kmart's Twitter this summer. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll give the winner a T-shirt or something.
Joey was like, you should do Everybody Loves Kmart. And I almost did it. It's just too long. I wanted something short. So yeah, just figured why not just my name and favorite number?
There we go.
9's my favorite.
All right.
Number, yeah.
Dads, this was fun. We will be back. We'll do a show after the Super Bowl, and we'll talk about it and kind of the football offseason and what might happen, what should happen.
Ceremony, are we going to do one when Joe's wins his mortgage and he's going nuts?
And when some of the other dads get cleaned out for, I think Chris's fade guys collectively have 5 figures on Kansas City, so it'll be a good time. But until then, everybody, good luck. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Enjoy the commercials. Enjoy the halftime show. Enjoy the waste management before the Super Bowl. That is such a fun Sunday final round. So we will be back early next week. And Chris is not here to remind us what happens when you bet on poop. Have you guys been betting poop college basketball?
If you bet on poop, you might get lucky like us last night and get all these +2s that are winning by a point.
There you go.
Sometimes
Later,
good,
everybody.
Sometimes you step in it.
Claire's got us.